The letter had been unceremoniously spat out again into the still morning air, and after another brief flutter, it landed by the side of the road. The letter's near demise did not go unnoticed, though. For 2 minutes earlier, at the exact time Polly had been leaving for work and had bumped into the postwoman, Maud Good had been having her usual early morning tussle with the heavy blackout curtains that adorned her bedroom window. "Mavis!" Maud kept her sight focused on the letter now languishing in the gutter across the road from where she and her sister lived above the sweet shop they jointly owned. "Mavis!" Her tone was different to the one she normally adopted to wake her sister. This morning her voice was serious, urgent, lacking its usual annoyance that she was, as always, the first to rise. "What's the matter?" Mavis's voice was croaky with sleep. "Something's wrong." Maud tightened the cord of her dressing gown around her ample waist and hurried out of the bedroom. In a matter of seconds, she had made it down the narrow staircase and out the front door. Bumping into a couple of shipyard workers, Maud ignored their apologies as well as their look of surprise at seeing her cross the road in just her night clothes and slippers, her pink plastic curlers still in her hair. Having made it to the other side, Maud was forced to wait until a double-decker bus had crunched through its gears and passed before she could bend down and pick up the letter, now smudged with dirt. Shoving it straight into the pocket of her robe, Maud looked left, then right, before making her way back to the house. "I'm in the kitchen!" Maeve shouted out, hearing the front door clash. Walking into the scullery, Maud saw that her sister was making a big pot of tea. "What's wrong?" Mavis asked again as her sister pulled out a chair and sat down at the kitchen table. Maud didn't reply, but reached into her pocket and retrieved the letter, her plump hands straightening the thick sheet of crumpled paper out on the wooden tabletop. The kettle started to whistle, and Mavis poured steaming hot water into the ceramic teapot. "Young Polly." Maud looked up at her sister. "She just got this." Her eyes dropped to the letter now spread out in front of her. "Poor Ben went white as a ghost. I thought she was going to go back inside, but she didn't. She got something out of her pocket and then just walked off down the street. Looked like she was in a trance." Mavis brought the teapot over and placed it on the table. She stirred before pouring out 2 cups, adding milk and half a teaspoon of sugar to each. "Go on, then," she said, nodding across to the letter. "What's it say?" Chapter 2. 15 minutes later, Maud and Mavis had got themselves dressed and were standing at the front door of number 34. Maud looked at her younger sister. "You do it," she said. Mavis took the letter. They both took a deep breath, and Maud knocked. As soon as Agnes opened the door, she knew something was wrong. The early hour of the day and the faces of the 2 old maids, as they were known, told her that this was not a social visit. Agnes was still in her nightdress and had been in the kitchen, setting the breakfast table for the rest of the household, having seen her daughter off to work with her usual packed lunch. "Sorry to call this early," Mavis began, before hesitating, not wanting to relate what she had to say out on the street. "Come in." Agnes opened the door wide. Tramp and Pup were by her feet, looking up at the unexpected visitors. "Go through to the kitchen. I've just put a brew on." As Agnes followed the 2 sisters down the hallway, Arthur came out of his bedroom. "Everything all right?" he asked. He was dressed for the day, bar his tartan slippers. Agnes shook her head. "I don't know." Arthur followed Agnes into the kitchen and said a polite "Good morning" to the sisters as they sat down at the table while Agnes poured the tea. "We're really sorry to come here like this." Mavis paused. "And I hope you don't think we've stuck our noses in where they're not wanted." Another pause. "But Maud here," a quick look at her sister,